Housing researcher Caroline Witzman is calling on the federal government to make a move. We don't have that clip, but who we do have is Adil Dinani. He is a real estate professional with Royal LePage West Realty in Vancouver. Adil, welcome, first of all. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so record rental rates in June, $2,945 for Vancouver for a one-bedroom unit. Are these average figures that we're just quoting there in line with what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been closely watching the rental market across all of Canada's major cities, and they're really being squeezed, I think, at this point by a confluence of factors. I mean, we have, like you noted in your intro, the strong wave of immigration. We've got declining housing affordability due to rising mortgage costs. And then when folks get priced out of purchasing a home, these buyers generally shift to the rental market, which then further intensifies the competition for rental homes. And so Vancouver and Burnaby holding first and second place, close to $3,000 just to get your foot into a one-bedroom condo in the city.
Well, and what are you seeing when it comes to that competition? Like, how is this affecting the process of even looking for a rental unit? What are people offering? Are they changing their strategy? Is it all about bidding wars? What are you seeing?
You know what's really interesting, and I'm going to really touch on what's pushing the rental rates higher. I think it was last month, it was the month of June, where Canada, for the first time, officially surpassed 40 million people in the country. And the Canadian Immigration Department has now set further aggressive mandates of bringing in 500,000 immigrants every year until 2025. So while that's fantastic, that we're going to see, we have a culture of diversity and inclusivity, it's really going to put pressure on both home prices and it's going to put pressure on rental prices. And what it's going to do is all the major cities across Canada are seeing this. It's not just a Vancouver story or a Toronto story, it's all the major cities. And now what we're having is local folks, folks that are now moving to our province, are all competing for the same rentals. Similar to your house hunt or your house search, these would-be tenants now have to get creative, either in their journey of what they expected to get and ultimately what they will settle for, right? Maybe they end up getting a smaller space. Maybe they end up going further into the suburbs than they had initially anticipated. So it's the evolution of the journey now as a tenant as well, where I think people have to be a little bit more flexible.
You've touched on something as well that we've heard repeatedly when we're talking about Canada's housing market and the supply issue that we have in this country. Do you think we are seeing governments move quickly enough to address this issue?
It's a really good question. And, I wish it was a light switch. I wish you could turn on supply and it would, magically appear. But really, unfortunately, that's not the case. It takes years to bring on the much needed supply. We're in a housing crisis in Canada, both in on the buying and selling side, people looking to own homes, and also now in the rental market. It's really carrying itself over, and it's the self-fulfilling prophecy. Um, I think all levels of government need to again work together. And I know we've talked about supply so many times, but it's the municipal levels, the provincial and the federal level need to come up with a cohesive effort and a collaborative effort to really bring on more supply here in Vancouver and on a provincial platform. We have the provincial government pushing to provide more infill residences, meaning if you have a single family lot that is a certain size that meets certain criteria, our premier is pushing for a policy that will allow for 4 to 6 units to be constructed, similar to the multiplex policy that Toronto recently passed.
Okay, we do have to leave it there for the interest of time, but we thank you so much for yours, Adil Dinani, real estate professional, joining us on this.